I still remember the exact second everything shifted, that quiet little click in the air when you realize you're no longer invisible, you're being judged. I was already seated, ticket scanned, bag, tucked away, headphones on, just trying to breathe before a long flight. First row window seat, the kind people assume you need permission to sit in. And then a shadow fell over me, sharp and deliberate, like someone stepping into a spotlight they think they own. The flight attendant didn't smile. She didn't yell, either. She leaned in close enough that I could smell her perfume and said, real calm, real tight, "Excuse me, sweetheart, there seems to be a problem with your seat." That word, sweetheart, landed heavier than it should have. I pulled my headphones down and looked up already, feeling that familiar tension crawl up my spine. I'd felt it in stores and classrooms and rooms where people thought I didn't belong. I handed her my boarding pass without a word. She took it like she was expecting it to be fake. This was supposed to be a simple trip. New York to Paris overnight. I was 18, traveling alone, carrying a prototype I'd worked on for months for a student showcase overseas. My dad had booked the ticket weeks earlier, first class, no upgrades, no favors. He always said, if you're going to do something, do it clean. Pay full price. Leave no room for doubt. Funny thing, his doubt still finds you. She stared at the boarding pass, flipped it over, frowned, then looked at me again. Slower this time. Hoodie. Sneakers. Braids pulled back because I didn't feel like doing my hair for a red eye. I could see the conclusion forming before she spoke. "I'm going to need you to step out of this seat," she said. "There's been a mix-up. You're actually assigned to economy." I felt my face heat up. "No, I'm not," I said, keeping my voice even. "That's seat 2A. This is 1A. That's what the ticket says." She smiled, then the kind that doesn't reach the eyes. "The system isn't always accurate," she replied. "Sometimes people wander into the wrong cabin. It happens. Wander. Like I'd just drifted in here accidentally. Like I didn't have a right to be exactly where I was." A few heads turned. The man across the aisle sighed like I was inconveniencing him. Someone behind her cleared their throat. The whole cabin felt like it was holding its breath, waiting to see if I'd shrink. "I'm not moving," I said. My heart was pounding, but my voice didn't shake. "You can check again. Call the gate. Call whoever you need." Her jaw tightened. That's when the tone changed. "If you don't comply," she said quietly, "I'll have to involve security, and that won't end well for you." That sentence carries weight when you're young and you've seen how quickly things can spiral. I looked around, searching for a face that might meet mine, someone willing to say something, anything. No one did. So I stood up, not because I was wrong, but because I was tired of fighting battles that cost more than they give back. She grabbed my bag from the overhead bin and dropped it into the aisle. Something inside cracked. I felt it in my chest before I heard it. I walked down that aisle feeling smaller with every step. Past wide seats and quiet voices, past champagne flutes and linen napkins, through the curtain that separates who matters from who doesn't. Economy was packed, loud, cramped. My seat was in the back middle row next to the bathroom. I hugged my bag to my chest and texted my dad one line. They moved me. Said my ticket's wrong. He replied almost instantly, "Don't say anything. I'm handling it." I didn't know what that meant. He was in Singapore for work, halfway across the world. What could he do? The plane pushed back. Engines hummed. The safety video started. I closed my eyes and tried not to cry. Then everything stopped. Hard. The plane lurched like it hit a wall. People gasped. Someone cursed. A flight attendant rushed past, phone to her ear. We sat there frozen, confused, until the captain's voice came on, tense and clipped. "Ladies and gentlemen, please remain seated. We're experiencing a delay due to unexpected ground traffic." Ground traffic. That was one way to put it. Up front, a private jet had rolled onto the taxiway and parked directly in front of us. Matte black. Massive. Completely blocking our path. Airport vehicles swarmed. Lights flashed. People started murmuring. Phones came out. And then the door opened. I couldn't see him from where I was, but I felt it. The shift. the way energy moves when someone with real authority enters a space. He walked straight down the aisle past business class, past premium, into economy like it didn't exist. He stopped in front of my row. "Hey," he said softly. "You okay?" I looked up and everything I'd been holding in broke loose. "They said I didn't belong up there," I whispered. "They broke my model." He nodded, jaw tight, eyes dark. He didn't say anything else. He didn't need to. He helped me stand, took my bag like it weighed nothing, and guided me back up the plane. The cabin was silent. The flight attendant stood near the galley hands, clasped lips pressed thin. She looked like she was trying to remember a script she'd memorized for situations like this. My dad stopped in front of her. "Why was my daughter removed from her seat?" he asked, calm as glass. She started talking fast. Glitches, standards, appearances. The words tumbled out until she said the one thing you can't take back. She didn't look like she belonged in first class. The air went cold. My dad didn't raise his voice. He didn't insult her. He just nodded once and turned to the captain. "This aircraft is leased through my firm," he said. "You're not taking off until this is resolved." The captain's face drained of color. Phones came out. Calls were made. Contracts were mentioned. The kind of words that don't mean much until they do. Within minutes, the airline's CEO was on speaker. The conversation was short. My dad laid out the facts. Ticket valid. Seat paid for. Minor passenger harassed. Property damaged. Silence on the line. Then a decision. Immediate termination. Escort off the aircraft. Blacklist. The flight attendant's composure cracked. She tried to argue. Union. Seniority. None of it mattered anymore. She walked off that plane the same way I had, eyes down, shoulders hunched, power gone. We didn't fly commercial that night. We took the jet that had blocked the runway. Inside it was quiet. Safe. My dad helped me unpack the broken pieces of my project on the carpet. We glued it back together, tracing the cracks with gold paint. Sometimes, he said, what breaks you is what makes you visible. I presented that model 2 days later in Paris. I told the judges it had been damaged by someone who underestimated me. I told them I rebuilt it stronger. They stood when I finished. I won. Here's the thing, though. This story isn't about a jet or a job or a dramatic firing. It's about that moment at the beginning when someone looks at you and decides your worth based on how comfortable you make them feel. It's about how often we let that slide because pushing back feels risky. And it's about what happens when someone finally says, "No, this stops here." So, I want to know what you think. Was what happened fair, or did it go too far? Have you ever been told without words that you didn't belong somewhere you earned, or have you watched it happen and stayed quiet? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Argue if you want. Share if this hit close to home. Because these moments don't disappear when we ignore them. They just wait for the next person.